Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named Public Illustrator in the AITAH subreddit. The post is titled AITAH for not breaking up with my fiance after finding out he dated my cousin. A little backstory. When I was 10, my parents got a divorce because my dad cheated on my mom with his best friend, which resulted in my now half-sibling. During this time, my dad's side of the family slowly started distancing themselves from my mom to keep the peace and to be around my dad's new family. Ever since then, my relationship with my dad has soured. When I was 18, my paternal and maternal grandparents threw me a graduation party. I specifically told my dad that I didn't want his now wife or my half-brother to come. My mom had just healed and I didn't want any negativity. He gave me a hard time about it but eventually agreed. The day comes and what do you know? He brings them. I confronted my dad and said a lot of things that I do regret and then I left the party. Later that night, I got texts from my dad's side calling me the asshole and disrespectful for what I said to him. I even got a text from my cousin who I thought I was close with saying it's been 8 years, my mom shouldn't still be upset about it, and I need to let it go. Ever since then, I've cut contact with a lot of people on that side of the family. Now, I met my fiance 3 years ago at a work event. We got serious fast and moved in together after a year. He proposed to me on Valentine's Day and it was everything I could wish for. Since I'm not really big on social media and don't post much, I decided to post an engagement announcement on Instagram. After a few hours, I started getting angry DMs from my cousin. It turns out she and my fiance dated when they were 20 and broke up a year before I met him. I found out she cheated on him with one of his close friends, and that's why they broke up. I knew about his past relationship, but we didn't really talk about exes. If at the time I had known, I might not have entertained him, but we live together and are literally planning our wedding. Now my dad's family is trying to force me to break up with him because it's weird that we're together. I told all of them to f off. I haven't spoken to or seen them in 7 years, and I will not be ending my relationship. I don't think OP is really doing anything wrong here. For one, it's none of the cousin's business who OP dates. Second, her being the one who cheated and trying to end OP's relationship with her own ex is wild. It's even dumber that the father is getting involved and pressuring OP to break up as well. It's just a family of hypocrites. I'm glad that OP is standing her ground and making her own decisions. User Time Environment said NTA, I'm laughing because your dad's family only backs each other because they are all cheaters. Enjoy your life with honest people and I wish you and your fiance a life of happiness. Block everyone who tries to say otherwise. The time to stand up for yourself is now. Don't let anyone say anything to the contrary. User Fantastic Bike said, that seems like a them problem. Her cheating doesn't justify you two breaking up, nor does it warrant any of your family's feelings about your relationship for that matter. Enjoy your future together, you both deserve a happy ending. NTA. This next post was made in the same subreddit by a throwaway account. The post is titled AITAH for canceling on our family cruise. So my parents wanted to do a cruise for the holidays. They invited me, my boyfriend, my brother, and his girlfriend. My brother has always been the golden child. Some backstory, back in high school when James was discovered to be selling pills, he was just going through a phase. Meanwhile, when I got caught smoking weed, my parents threatened to kick me out. James lost his scholarship and dropped out of college 3 different times, but he's still perfect. I graduated a semester late and didn't try hard enough. James still lives in the state where he attended college and I live in my home state near my parents. He doesn't work and is not currently in school. My parents buy him flights all the time to come visit but don't buy me a flight to go see him or go anywhere else. My parents sent him money for rent and life necessities. He bought a $2,000 dog recently with that money. When I got my first big job at age 22, my parents immediately kicked me off their insurance since I had the option of benefits. James was on their insurance until he turned 26. Last year, I got laid off and moved back in with my parents to save money. When I got my new job, my parents told me I needed to pay $10K in back rent, which was never discussed previously. This has been a pattern my whole life. James gets everything handed to him while I have to work my ass off. So now back to the cruise. My parents said they wanted to do this and bought tickets for themselves, James, and his girlfriend. They told me to get my own ticket since I have a well-paying job. I was super upset and told them it wasn't fair that I was the only one who had to buy my own ticket. My parents said I was acting spoiled and that green wasn't a good look on me. I am so tired of hearing that phrase at this point. They said it's not like I had to get a nice room since we'd be outside most of the time anyway, which is true, but then why get James a nice room? I decided I had enough and wasn't going, but here's where I may be the I let them continue thinking I was going for months. Then on the night before they left, they said to get to their house by 8 a.m. so we could start the drive to the port. At 8:30 that day, they started messaging me asking where I was. I texted them, since you didn't want to put in the effort to have me join you, I will be attending my boyfriend's Thanksgiving instead. Have a nice trip with your favorite child. Then I muted the chat. I talked to some friends about this. Some said it was petty of me to cancel with no warning, while others said I should have sucked it up and gone since I would have had fun when I got there. They've been on the cruise for a couple of days now, and I'm starting to regret how I handled things. Yeah, I probably would have had fun, and it's not like I couldn't afford the ticket. I also could have handled the delivery better, but at the same time, I'm so sick of them treating me like this. User Uno TrueGen said, not petty, but I suggest that in the future, you have amazing plans whenever they ask about doing anything. Don't continue to subject yourself to people who put you down and don't celebrate your accomplishments. Living well is the very best revenge there is. Your brother is a loser who has been crippled by your parents. Feel sorry for him. You're going to have a much better life. NTA. Klaus said, it was definitely petty, but honestly, why would you want to spend more time with a family that treats you like that? I understand them helping your brother since he can't afford it and it's their money, but to imply that you're jealous when they're clearly favoring him all the time, they still went on the cruise, so I don't think it was a big deal. I'd recommend going low to no contact with them since they seem indifferent to your presence and it would save you a lot of trouble too. User Sudden Pomegranate said, NTA, your parents are very likely narcissistic and I can tell you that James will get his dues in some way or another, likely in a few years when we see his girlfriend asking for advice on her over-involved mother-in-law and mummy's boy husband. My in-laws use the same phrases. They would borrow money from my partner, make him pay rent and still refuse to pay him back because I think you've had enough out of us, while simultaneously buying his younger sister a car and then another car when she crashed that one within a month. He was constantly called jealous, faced threats of homelessness, and was treated like a literal slave while his siblings were treated like royalty. I can tell you that this is a form of triangulation. Normal parents don't have a golden child. They pick and choose which one to favor and use it to pit their children against each other. That way, when you finally have had enough of the BS and speak out about it, you just look like a liar and a drama queen because your golden sibling preaches about how the sun shines out of their and how they have amazing parents. They can't treat you all badly because who would be on their side? Update. My boyfriend and I got to the cabin late Wednesday night. I gave his mother a bouquet of her favorite flowers and she loved them. We had a quick glass of wine while talking with his family before heading to bed. I was still a bit uncertain about my decision, so I probably wasn't as peppy as usual, but they didn't seem to mind. That night, I made a promise to myself that I would put my own family issues aside during the trip and just focus on having a good time with my boyfriend's family, who have always been so gracious to me. On Thursday, we woke up early and helped his mom with some food preparation and setting the table. Afterward, we played some cornhole with his cousins and sadly lost due to my complete lack of athletic ability. The Thanksgiving meal itself was delicious and his mom is such a good cook. Everyone was very sweet to me and made me feel so welcome as part of the family, which helped me feel much better about my decision to spend the holidays with them. Towards the end of the night, his mom even said to me that she knows it is ultimately up to my boyfriend, but she hopes I can join the family for real someday. I told her I would be honored if that happens and we hugged. I really do hope it will. I love my boyfriend so much and I want to spend the rest of my life with him. His family is also an incredible bonus. I had such a wonderful time on Thanksgiving and enjoyed the rest of the weekend as well. We went on some great hikes, hung around by the bonfire, played board games, and watched movies. My boyfriend also spent some time looking after his little nephew, and watching them play with Legos together definitely gave me some slight baby fever. We got back yesterday afternoon and I am already missing everything. It was genuinely a blast, and there was no family drama, which made my own family seem like even more of a mess. I feel like I'm rambling a bit now, but I'm just so excited to share what a good time I had during the holiday and that I definitely made the right decision. Unfortunately, this update isn't entirely positive. I wish it could be. My parents reached out last night and they still weren't happy about my choice. I guess the sea air and unlimited drinks didn't do enough to relax them. My dad sent a passive-aggressive text with cruise pictures that said, "Sad that you chose not to be with your family in such beautiful places." I sent back a picture from my trip with my boyfriend's family and replied, "Looks like you guys had a good time, so did we." Then my mom called and said she hoped I regretted missing out on a great family vacation and spoiling their memory due to a petty grudge against my brother. I told her my issue wasn't with James, but rather their unfair preferential treatment between the two of us. My mom said that I was being unfair by comparing our situations since James needs help while he figures out his direction in life, and that I've always been much more independent. I told her the only reason that's true is because they never truly allowed me to depend on them. She said she wasn't going to apologize for raising a self-sufficient daughter and that I should either grow up and be grateful for everything they've done or leave them alone for good and break their hearts all at once instead of doing it piece by piece. She called me cruel for dangling the hope of a wonderful holiday only to snatch it away at the last second. I was really upset by this point and pointed out multiple examples of how they prioritized James, hoping I could finally make her understand how growing up like this has affected me. My mom said I had a lot of nerve to put their parenting under a microscope when I have no children myself and have never had to make tough decisions. I had enough of the conversation and said, "I guess I'll just leave you guys alone like you want since I'll never be enough for this family anyway." I hung up and started crying, but my boyfriend was really supportive as always, and we spent the rest of the night eating ice cream and watching the Hunger Games to cheer me up. It was weird to go back to work today after everything and act like nothing was the matter, but I think it was also a good distraction. Since I chose my boyfriend's holiday plans instead of my family's, I actually came back feeling mostly refreshed instead of drained like I most likely would have been after the cruise. I haven't heard anything more from my parents yet, but I have a feeling they're just bluffing. I'm sure once they need something, they'll reach out, or they'll probably try to smooth things over by Christmas so they don't have to explain the situation to our extended family. I haven't decided yet if I'll be open to reconciling. On one hand, I know I deserve better than to be treated as a burden and an afterthought while doing so much for them. I'm tired of trying to live up to their expectations, and I'm not optimistic about their behavior ever changing. But on the other hand, they are my family, and it's just so difficult to fully walk away. I just want to feel the love and acceptance from my own family that I get from my boyfriend's family. Why is it so hard for them to treat me like I matter? I'm also worried that if I don't make nice with them, they'll twist the story to make me seem like the problem, and my extended family will be mad at me too. There are people I like within my family, but my parents have a lot of influence over everyone's opinions. I don't know if it's worth putting up with them to at least keep some ties to my family, or if it would be better to accept the loss and move on from a dynamic where I am clearly not appreciated. I want to keep my brother at least, but maybe I'm just holding on to the past, and that version of James doesn't exist anymore. I hope that's not true. I just don't know how to get through to him since he is so brainwashed by my parents and thinks they can do no wrong. I'm not sure if I'll ever truly get my brother back. I've got some big things to think about now, and I don't know if I'm ready to make such a major change in my life. I do believe I'd feel much freer and lighter if I at least distance myself from them and maybe even cut contact entirely. I guess I'll just have to see what happens. I'm sure I already know the answer to this, but is it stupid to still hold out hope that things can work out? Update 2. I'm going to try to keep this one brief since my last update was so long. I'm not sure how to link my previous posts since I'm on mobile, but they're available on my profile. I took the advice of some commenters and reached out to my favorite aunt. I told her that unfortunately I would not be at Christmas this year and that I would be taking a break from the family for my own mental health. However, I hope that she and her children enjoy their time and have a great holiday. She said she understood and was proud of me. That made me feel better and helped me feel brave enough to finally cut the cord. On Wednesday night, my mom texted me for the first time since our phone call saying, "If you're done trying to break apart the family, we expect you to be here by 9:30 on Christmas." I told her that the only ones responsible for breaking apart the family are her and my dad, and they should not expect me at Christmas or any future events. I said that I have finally learned to go where I am wanted, and that is simply not with them. I could tell she was ramping up to one of her rants, insulting and belittling me, so I then blocked her and my dad. I haven't blocked James yet though. That will depend on his response when or if he reaches out. I already feel so empowered, like a weight has been lifted off me. And on a much happier note, my boyfriend and I are leaving for a ski trip for the holidays as soon as we finish work today. I truly appreciate everyone who took the time to read my posts and offer advice. It was due to the kindness of all you internet strangers that I finally had the strength to cut them out of my life. Thank you so much, and happy holidays, everyone. Quick PS, I included that side note in my past update about the Hunger Games because I was hoping to talk about the franchise with people. Sadly, no one took the bait since there were more important parts of my post to address. That being said, if anyone wants to talk Hunger Games with me, you know where to find me. This final post was made in the Persona Finance subreddit by a user named Throw342. The post is titled, "Just got out of prison and owe so much money. I went to college and graduated but ended up in prison about 18 months ago. I just got out on parole and am looking at the aftermath of my finances. I'm getting so many letters and calls from different companies that I don't even know where to begin. I know I had 3 credit cards. 2 from Wells Fargo and 1 from Capital One. Apparently, Capital One sold off my debt a while back, but Wells Fargo still has mine. Student loans are all over the place. I know I took out some personal loans through Discover, but I'm lost as to which companies hold all my regular student debt from the university. At some point, my loans started coming through another federal company because of some changes in the law, but I'm completely lost. I just received a big pink letter saying my student loans are about to default. While I was in prison, some student loan company found me and sent me a letter, and I was able to defer my loans for a year, but that time has passed a few months ago. Right now, I'm jobless and crashing at a friend's house, but I'm aware of how serious a student loan default is. This is all beyond what I'm mentally capable of handling right now. I just went through a stack of letters that were saved over the past year, and I'm too overwhelmed to even know what to do first. What can I do? Even if I had a low-paying job, my first concern is a roof over my head and food. I don't even know what to tell these people when I figure out the mess of who I actually owe and what. Please help me. I stayed out of trouble in prison, continued studying, and tried to learn programming to maybe get a web development job on the side. I want to do the right thing and get out of this endless black hole. Edit. I spent the last hour reading through every comment here, and I think getting a free credit report to see who I owe would be a good first step since I haven't really had an address or phone number. I should have mentioned that my debt is mainly student loans, and my credit card debt is about 6 to 7K. I'm really hesitant about declaring bankruptcy, but I will at least talk to a lawyer to learn more about the best route to take. Lastly, I've received a lot of positive messages and comments, and even that small boost from a message from an internet stranger gives me hope when I'm feeling down about all this. I hope one day I can post an update saying I've got a great job, beaten the statistics, and given hope to other felons who are trying to do the right thing. It was definitely a life-changing experience that has altered my views about the prison system in general. Thank you very much. Update. It's been a year since I got out of prison, and I thought about updating for a few months, but wanted everything to be absolutely settled before I did. I ended up moving to a more tech-friendly city, and the job search was still rough. I actually got a job offer 2 weeks after moving and was so excited to start. They asked about my background, and I was totally honest with them. After some discussion, they still wanted to hire me, but then a few days later, I got a call saying HR wouldn't allow it. I was pretty beat up. Over the next few months, I had a few interviews and even job offers, but anytime the background check came up, I was denied. The only thing worse than not having a job is knowing you have the skills to get hired, but that something like this holds you back. I'm not going to lie and say it was easy. I broke down some nights, but picked myself back up the next day and submitted my applications again. I worked at a restaurant to make some kind of money, and it was rough. I was coming home with $10 sometimes and wondered if this was really going to be my life. I continued to get calls from debt collectors but ignored them every time. At the end of September, I was having a particularly rough week, making no money at work, and had a job interview lined up. I didn't really have much hope for this job, but figured screw it. Later that day, they told me I had the job, but at that point it didn't even bring me excitement, as I've heard that line before. I did the usual background check and waited for the fatal call. A call came that Friday and I was told I was to start on Wednesday of the following week. I was confused and in disbelief. Every day for a few weeks I expected someone to call me or pull me aside at work and tell me there had been a mistake. For the first 3 months, I never even brought anything to put on my desk because I figured it would be any moment now. I worked there making more in 1 week sitting at a desk doing what I love than I did busting my butt for an entire month at a restaurant. Finally, one day in January, I was pulled aside. The hiring manager asked me to see him in his office, and he had a pretty serious look on his face. He sat me down and told me I've been doing very well these past couple of months. My supervisors are impressed with how fast I've caught on, and they decided to give me a promotion. I was blown away. So here I was 4 months into a job and I was offered a promotion with a great raise. I still work hard every day there. I study up and learn more and try to improve myself with programming every day. I look back at those few months when I was job searching and know that I made it as far as I did because even on days when I was so depressed that I didn't even want to get out of bed, I still got up and tried. What else could I do? I still worry about the future, but for now, I want to work here for a while, gaining as much experience as possible so my criminal history will pale in comparison to my skills and drive to succeed. I've even managed to get a pretty good girlfriend who knows all about my past, and we've been dating for 5 months. She's supportive and proud of how far I've come and how much I'm doing to ensure my past does not define me. I've helped several people start their programming careers and have even given presentations for newcomers. Have I faced some backlash? Yes, but screw those people. As for my loans, I've saved up an emergency fund for 6 months, and as of 2 weeks ago, I paid off the last bit on my credit card. I still have a mountain of student debt, but I'm paying it off bit by bit. I don't get any more calls about money I owe, and well, life is alright. I hope anyone who is in a similar situation can look at this and know that someone in the same boat has made it through and succeeded.